Hello, Willa. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, good, good. Confession time. I am a huge fan of yours, for reals.
Oh, thank
You
you.
you were the only reason why I tuned in every week to watch Arrow, all those seasons.
I
Now,
appreciate that. Thank you.
yes, so needless to say, I'm geeking out right now. Congratulations to you, Willa, on your new film, The Dirty South, arriving in theaters on digital and on demand November 10. Now, Willa, having done several big budget studio TV shows over the years, such as The OC and Arrow, shows that have tons of resources, what was it like on the other end of that spectrum, doing smaller indie projects like The Dirty South? Does it feel somewhat liberating as an actor? Does it help flex your acting muscles, so to speak? What's the biggest draw for you doing indie projects like this?
Definitely feels like you are able to, spread your wings, and it's probably one of my favorite things to do is to do things where you're able to have room to collaborate and room to breathe and room to kind of put in just different versions and not have to deal with so many other opinions kind of boxing in um, where you're allowed to move. Yeah, doing independent features, especially right now, I think is one of the most important things to do to support film and to support struggling situations with actors and everything like that. Um, I really, really, sorry. There's my neighbor is doing something very loud over here. Don't know if you could hear it to the side. I wish I could tell him to stop. Sorry. Yeah, independent film is probably my favorite thing to do. I've been able to do some stuff in the past, and it's definitely always been my favorite place to kind of just experience and experiment.
I love candid moments, so I don't mind the neighbor at all.
I don't even know what he is doing. There's also a leaf blower going on, but the neighbor, I don't even know what he's doing.
It's one of those mornings, I guess.
Yeah.
I love talking about characters. Willa, obviously, your character in this film, Sue Parker, is different from Thea Queen. Sue struggles, for lack of a better word, but like any good protagonist, she would do anything to keep her family's head above water. What was your process of embodying Sue, and more importantly, how did you get her accent down pat? Which accent is that?
Oh God, that was my biggest fear about doing this, was doing any version of an accent. And I hope to God it came across okay. That's kind of my biggest trepidation about the whole thing. But I just listened to what everyone else was doing there, because we were really in the dirty South. We were in this tiny little town about an hour and a half away from any major city, um, called Natchitoches. And it was so adorable. And the people there were just like salt of the earth and the most wholesome vibe. But they were definitely my accent coaches just every single day.
I would say Sue Parker. I would say life dealt her a bad hand, but she's not a bad person. She's definitely not a victim. But she makes unfortunate choices along the way, and it's a bit tricky, isn't it? Will What I'm getting at is, and maybe this is a question for Matthew Yerby, but I'll ask you this anyway. When creating or shaping a protagonist out of a character that society deems as a trailer park, as a derogatory term, that stigma could make it a challenge for audiences to side with them. Wouldn't you think so? And so, in your conversations with Matthew, in shaping Sue, what was your approach in getting the audiences to side with Sue?
I would hope that people would look at somebody who is going through some type of pain or type of struggle and be able to relate and have some version of empathy towards them naturally. And my second biggest concern, aside from the accent itself, was that, all mistakes that Sue does make along the way, that whatever she does do was at least justified in her thinking that maybe that might have been the best choice right then, as horrible and as bad as that may have been. Or that she was just dealt such a bad hand that she's just trying to play her best way out of a very bad scenario. But that she's not doing anything with any malintent, and she's doing everything to try to get to some type of positive end. She's not trying to do anything, just she's not being negative and reckless just for the sake of being reckless. She's doing it to try to save something that she holds dear. And I hope that that comes across more than any type of, you know, girl who's just struggling and makes a couple wrong decisions and then lands, you know, on a couple dead bodies and stuff like that. So I hope that that comes across. And I think that Matt and I, together with some words and with some just attention to that, we're able to kind of just hold on to that, which I hope that comes across.
Very well said. And you know, Dermot is so mean in this film. Well, his character is. I've interviewed Dermot before in the past. You know, in the person, he is the nicest guy ever. What's it like working with Shane and Dermot on this project? What's it like collaborating with them in a way that can help you get the best performance out of yourself as Sue?
I mean, they're both amazing. They're both super seasoned. I've known of both of them and their work for forever. I've known Shane personally for too many years that I do not want to admit out loud. And I think Dermot would be also embarrassed about the amount of years to admit how long ago I watched my best friend's wedding. So that was probably one of my favorite movies growing up as a kid. So I've always been such a huge fan of his, and to be able to finally work with him was such a like a full circle moment for me. And yeah, no, his character is definitely mean, and seeing him be so brutal was intense because I think of him as such like a shining light. So it was hard to like see him as this like guy. But he definitely pulled it off because it scared the crap out of me.
Now, Sue Parker is a bartender. Fun question. How good are you at bartending, Willa? Can you do bottle tricks like the Coyote Ugly or Tom Cruise in Cocktail?
None of it at all. Like the Matt actually ended up having to teach me how to literally just even slide the beer across the bar without spilling it or making it crash into anything. I'm not good with my hands.
Fair enough, no pressure. One of the major misconceptions out there is that bars are like the show Cheers, where everybody knows your name, when in fact, bars are a lot like what Sue Parker owns, where everybody just wants to be left alone, mind their own business. So, final fun question, Willa. What would you name your bar if you were to ever run your own bar? What would you name it?
Stay empty. Just keep it empty.
I love it. I love it. I would name mine Porky's. That's how unoriginal I am.
I mean, that's a great one. You're
Yes.
guaranteed to have some customers.
All right. For my fans at home, everybody go check out The Dirty South, arriving in theaters, on digital and on demand, November 10. Willa, I'm a huge fan of yours. Thank you for talking to me and congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.